All right, today we are diving into one of the most essential and, let's be real, one of the most dreaded DIY skills out there, drywall repair. From that tiny little nail hole to a big oops from a doorknob, we're going to break down exactly how you can get a finish that looks absolutely seamless and professional. Yeah, let's just get this out in the open right away. This quote, it hits pretty close to home for a lot of people. Drywall work has this reputation for being a dusty, frustrating mess. And look, it can be, but it really doesn't have to be. We're going to take all the mystery out of it today. Because here's the deal, knowing how to do this is a total game changer. It's so empowering. It saves you from calling a pro for every single little ding, which, saves you some serious cash. And honestly, once you learn the right tricks, it's way more straightforward than you'd ever think. So here's our roadmap. First, we'll get our toolkit together. Then we're going to level up, starting with those easy, small holes, moving on to medium-sized patches, and finally, we'll tackle those big, scary-looking holes. And we'll finish it all off with the secret weapon, getting that pro texture finish so the repair literally disappears. Okay, first things first. Before we make even a speck of dust, let's talk about gear. Like any good project, having the right tools on hand from the very beginning makes everything go so much smoother. Trust me, it's the key to not getting frustrated. The essential kit is actually pretty simple. You're going to need some joint compound, or just spackling for the tiny stuff. A couple of drywall knives in different sizes are absolutely crucial for getting those smooth, feathered edges. You'll need a sharp utility knife, some drywall tape, it's good to have both mesh and paper, a sanding block, a straight edge for clean cuts, and of course, a scrap piece of drywall for your patches. All right, time to get our hands dirty. We're starting at level 1, small holes. This is by far the most common repair you're ever going to do. We're talking about old picture hangers, little dings, just life happening to your walls. So what qualifies as a small hole? It's basically any damage that's just on the surface. The paper might be a little torn up, but the gypsum core right behind it is still totally solid. These are the easy wins that'll make you feel like a pro right away. The process here is a piece of cake. First, just clean up any little bits of paper or gunk sticking out. For a tiny nail hole, you can literally just push a dab of spackle in there. If it's a bit bigger, just stick a small piece of mesh tape over it. Then, put on a thin coat of mud, spreading it out past the edges. Let that dry, give it a super quick, light sanding, and then apply a second coat that's a little wider and a little smoother. One final sanding and poof, it's gone. See? That wasn't so bad, was it? But, sometimes the damage is a bit more dramatic than a nail hole. So what do you do when you're staring at something a little more substantial? Welcome to level 2, my friends, the medium-sized hole. This is your classic doorknob meets drywall situation, or maybe you bumped some furniture a little too hard. We're talking about holes up to about 6 inches wide. Now, the challenge here is that the hole goes all the way through. There's just empty space back there. You can't just slop some mud on it. You need to actually create a solid base for your repair. Okay, I'm going to let you in on an awesome pro secret for this. It's called the California patch. It's genius. You cut a piece of drywall that's bigger than your hole. Then you flip it over, score the back, and snap off the gypsum, leaving these little paper flaps all around the edge. You put mutter on the hole in the wall, press your patch in, and those paper flaps act like built-in tape. How cool is that? Then you just mud right over the whole thing. Now, for holes that are a little bigger or maybe in an awkward spot, you might want some extra support. This is where a technique called blocking comes in. You just cut the hole into a nice, clean square. Then you slide a little piece of wood inside the wall and screw it into place right through the existing drywall. What you've just done is create a brand new solid surface to screw your patch into. It makes for a rock-solid repair. So we've nailed the small stuff, and we've handled the medium-sized accidents. But what about that hole? The one that makes you take a step back and just go, oh, wow, that's big. It's time to face the final boss, the large hole. But don't worry, this isn't as scary as it looks. It's really just a bigger version of what we've already been doing. You just have to tie it into the actual structure of the wall. When you're dealing with major damage, the strongest, cleanest, most professional way to fix it is to cut the bad section out completely, from the center of one wall stud all the way to the center of the next one. This way you have solid wood on both sides to anchor your new piece. So here's the play-by-play.
grab your stud finder, locate your studs, and cut out a nice big rectangle. Cut a new piece of drywall to fit perfectly, then screw it right into those studs. Now for big seams like this, you really want to use paper tape embedded in mud. It's way stronger and prevents cracks. Then it's just a matter of applying a few thin coats of mud, making each one wider than the last, until you've created a huge, perfectly smooth, invisible patch.
Okay, your patch is done. It's smooth, it's flat, it's perfect. But then you go to paint it and bam! It sticks out like a sore thumb. Why? Because your wall isn't perfectly flat. You forgot the final, most important step, matching the texture. This is what separates a good repair from a great one. Take a close look at your walls. Most of them have some kind of texture. You've got orange peel, which is kind of that subtle, bumpy look. Then there's knockdown, which is a bit heavier. And, of course, the dreaded popcorn ceiling. God forbid you have to match that, but hey, it's possible. Figuring out which one you have is step one to making your patch totally disappear. And the best part is, you can buy this stuff in an aerosol can at any home center. Seriously, you just follow the directions. Pro tip, practice on a piece of cardboard first to get the feel for it, and then spray your patch. If you're doing a knockdown texture, you just wait a couple minutes, then gently glide a wide knife over it, let it dry, hit it with some primer and paint, and I promise you, no one will ever know there was a hole there. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? When you take a little time to learn the right way to do things, you can absolutely do it yourself and get a result that you can be really, really proud of. So you've done it. You've patched the holes, you smoothed the seams, you blended the texture. Your walls look amazing. Now, with that awesome feeling of DIY success, the only real question left is, what are you going to conquer next?